Let's go. Oh, we're live.
Yay!
So, Nick, how are you doing?
Doing all right. I'm tired.
I'm tired too. We've been doing so many of these lives, which is great.
Yeah.
But we're trying to get the word out, kind of doing some new stuff, technology-wise,
Oh, very nice.
when it comes to IAEM being here at the conference, being here on the expo floor.
Yeah,
And every year, my favorite place to hang out because it's so comfortable
that's true.
is the technology center.
The Doc Lumpkins Crisis Technology Center. We are booth 239.
So if you're here at the conference, go to booth 239. You can charge. They have couch and chair. I have a couch here, not as cool as yours. They have couch and chairs that like you can plug your phone into.
Our entire job is to be an oasis. If your phone or your laptop or whatever you're wandering around with is running out of power,
Your feet.
come in. Yeah, sit down. You can come and talk to us. We try to be nice. Sometimes, we're technology people, so sometimes we get a little grumpy if we have to interact with people. But outside of that, yeah, it's all we want to do is help everybody out with the technical stuff.
How many years has that been going on?
How many years has ETC been around?
No, the we talk about that. We can talk
Okay.
about that as well. But no, how many years have we been having? Because I want to say it's like 5 or 6
It's been.
conferences.
I want to say that's correct. Yeah, 5, 6, 7, somewhere around in there. And a lot of this just began with there was some frustrations about we couldn't get technology sessions through the IAEM review process. And we wanted to create kind of this self-contained environment for folks who were interested in technology and emergency management to come and talk to the field. And so we've kind of been a side door for technologists to come in to talk about how emergency management and technology could become better friends.
Why is that important?
So, I mean, it's kind of a loaded question, right? So some folks would say technology is important because technology is important, but it's more market forces at work than anything else. I think what I would offer is that consumer culture, right? Because we all have these things on us. We all have, watches or tablets or laptops or soundboards and cameras and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Consumer culture has been sort of force-feeding people technology for a very long time, and it has altered the way we communicate. It alters the way we see the world. It alters the way we think. And I think more than anything, when we fall into a place where we need to call for help, so emergency services or in a large-scale disaster, I need to alert emergency operations of some kind, we reach for our phone to text message somebody. But we can't actually do that with emergency management at all. We have to hope maybe if I send a tweet out that somebody will actually see it and will come and talk to us or come and grab us or figure out where we are. And so I think, to me, emergency management and technology need to be better friends, not because technology makes emergency management better, but because we need to actually talk to and deal with all of the ways that communication and expectations of communication have changed over the years. And so we're more concerned with kind of that route of things, but we have a bunch of different projects going on right now about what does the EM field look like in the future, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What kinds of technologies would we expect to see in an EOC in that era? Would we see like social media? Because right now social media is kind of on this massive and insane decline out of nowhere. It just kind of said, Elon Musk buys Twitter, drives it into the ground. Every state in the union almost is suing Facebook right now. And we don't know what's coming. And so what does that EOC look like in the future? And so that's a different charge that we're going with at the ETC. I don't know if I actually answered your question.
No, absolutely you did. I'm sitting here talking to you, but behind you off camera, well, maybe you can a little bit. That big arch that's right there, it's the iPause area, right? Which is technology on steroids, right? And so there's that, and then like I'm looking at all these other technology companies that are selling stuff to emergency management, right? And then we were just talking earlier before we came over here, about rebuilding emergency operations centers and what that means, and it all bases around some sort of technology, and I think sometimes I'm going to go a little analog on you here. Sometimes we think about like technology always being gadgets, right? But I mean, it's also like not just about the gadgets, but like how do you implement the gadget? How do you use it? And if you can't use it, what do you do?
Yeah, and like, so my background, my PhD is in information science and technology. My job, and kind of what I was trained to do, is to understand what a piece of technology actually means to the humans who are using it, and how the context of how they're using it will impact, because you don't just release a piece of technology and it's one and done. You release it and now it's in the wild. How are people actually using it? How do I need to adjust it? And one of the things that I see quite often is folks come in with this idea that they could help emergency management, but then don't realize that in some of the theaters of operation, some of the places where they're going to work, there's no running water, there's no electricity, there's no connectivity. And so where does technology fit in that?
Right.
And so you'll see companies like FirstNet or what's the Tesla, Starlink?
Starlink, yes.
Starlink came in, or companies like that try. And I think Facebook actually has like a blimp company that they've been trying to get up off the ground.
What?
Where it's like connectivity blimps.
Oh, okay.
And so they want to pipe Facebook into Africa that doesn't have any infrastructure at all. So they just park a blimp above a country, and that is what everybody connects to. And
that's pretty wild.
So like there are internet-based solutions, but the issue at hand is still, when we design technologies, we design it for the most stable environment possible. And emergency management operates in the least stable environments. And so there's always this kind of consistent dance of trying to figure out how to get a piece of technology into that unstable environment, but actually have it be viable as, for other things, because they also need to get their money back in investment and development and things like that.
Excuse me. Keep having this cough. It's the stupid allergies. So when we're thinking of those technologies, and there's basically two, or maybe more. Just correct me if I'm wrong, please. I think there's like two avenues of research and development. Right. Just real easy math. We got the government supported and funded. And then we have private sector.
Mm-hmm.
Which one's better?
Oh God. So it's a pretty loaded question, mostly because, let me think of a good way to answer this.
And there's no offense meant for either private or public. We could both live together, but
they're necessary, right? So like the government funded research typically goes into academic locations. So the university systems and things like that. Those guys are not bound by the market. They don't have to make money. They don't need to get everything back. So their job is to experiment. Their job is to understand and try to learn about where technology could actually fit. In the private sector, you're talking about, okay, I have these investors that I need to please, and I need to make sure that I can make this money back so that I can have this many employees. And then I have to think about like my development cycle. So I have to hire project managers, and everything is I've seen this design document, or I've written this design document that's going to dictate all of everything that I'm doing. And then I will eventually have some sort of widget that I can then send out into the user environment, or the whatever you want to call it, consumer culture. And if it's a well-designed product that people are interested in, maybe I'll win the lottery and sell this product to 1 billion people. More often than not, those companies will make a product, it won't really work, and then they'll sell themselves to some company so that wants that R&D stuff. So like
Right.
Google was eating companies for a really long time
Yes,
because they wanted technology. Microsoft like recently bought Blizzard Entertainment because they wanted World of Warcraft and the Diablos and all that other stuff. And so like I think that they work together because a lot of what is presented in academia, especially in tech academia, the companies that are developing products go to those conferences to see what those guys have learned, and then they'll take it back to their units to try to make it into actionable or marketable or monetary reward of some kind.
So I'm going to go back to a little bit about being here on the floor of IAEM. And I know that you got the Doc Lumpkins Center over there. So, what today, if somebody's walking around, what do they get out of going over there outside of getting to talk to you?
IAEM?
No, it's IAEM, but specifically the Technology Center.
So what we're interested in is trying to help. We have, I mean, the flip answer is come and talk to Sarah Miller and Pascal.
Yeah.
Who are legends in this field with trying to solve technical issues of some capacity. And Sarah and Pascal both now have like people they've trained who are becoming other versions of Pascal and Sarah. But what we are a place where if you are curious about technology, if you're interested in technology, we can talk to you about what you're interested in, what products might be useful for you, or how or why. I'm an academic first. I'm not an emergency manager in practice. And so I can connect you to researchers. Additionally, in my environment, in my world, a lot of us who are working in and around emergency management in academia, we also have millions of dollars that we would love to help you with, right? We can just kind of funnel it your way and make you something. And then, so I can introduce you to the academic environment, what we're researching, what we've learned, where we're going. And then we have a lot of practical oriented stuff. So the Pascals and the Sarahs of the world have been doing this for a very long time, and they want to help you enhance the capacity of your EOC. Or if you're new in the environment, the Emerging Professionals Caucus kind of came from one of our members, which was Michael Tiener. We have a close partnership with them because the young folks who are now coming into the field are going to have different expectations about what the world looks like versus what has existed beforehand. And so it's basically we are trying to keep a conversation going because I think because of the ways that emergency management is often practiced, our tendency is to kind of avoid technology because it won't work in the places where we're going to be, or we might not have the budget to keep up. There was a session yesterday, for example, not a spectacular session, but there was a couple of moments in there where they said, people were saying, you can't be using, for example, subscription-based models in emergency management because we have a budget that we have and we can use it once and that's it. And so there's just a bunch of incompatibilities, and where those incompatibilities get heard and get actionable and become actionable is within the ETC itself. So that's a really long way of me saying we want to help you, and we can do it in as many different ways as you can think of.
Do you remember when we were the young folks? Damn.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah. I grew up in and around emergency services because my dad was a firefighter and emergency medical technician. And I just kind of grew up around space. And when I was in academia, I worked with a bunch of folks wanting to do stuff in disaster. And I realized that all of my exposure to practice as a kid was actually going to come in handy.
Yeah.
As the first time something from my childhood wasn't tragedy, which maybe I shouldn't admit on camera, but
it's true.
But yeah, it's so yeah, I do remember that. And, folks will tend to look at the younger folks as having better technical skills. And this is probably something that I should say, because this is a lesson from the ETC that I can give you, is there's this belief that the younger you are, the more interested in and good at technology you will be. But the issue is that when, like, you and I were young, we had command lines, Windows or DOS, or we used whatever, and we were used to like what the computer could actually do. And over the years, what has transpired is you get this environment, which is designed around apps that do one specific thing. So the younger you are, the less likely it is that you actually saw how a computer functions.
Oh, wow. Never thought of it that way.
Yeah. And so the command line, the computer has disappeared and it's been replaced with apps. And that's kind of where a lot of the discussion around how to help technologists or help emergency management with technology is, because we need to design a system that hides the computer, but at the same time, one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in emergency management is that if the emergency manager can't figure out how something works, they won't trust it.
True.
And they won't use it.
Yeah.
And so keeping everything white boxed, open sourced, out in the open so you can see exactly what's happening has been something that we've been trying to push on people. But if you walk around here, what you will see is a lot of what we would call black box solutions.
Yeah.
So things go in, things come out. What happens inside of there?
Magic.
We have no idea.
It's magic.
Yeah.
It's good.
And you know, we're in a new AI explosion. There's a new one every 5 years, beginning back in like 1950, where AI is going to change everything. And
have you tried that over there? The virtual reality goggles?
Those guys, I've tried versions of that over the years.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah. My group is actually really interested in emergency or digital twinning, but that's a different discussion because it gets away from the ETC. So anyway,
we're getting into AI. So.
Yeah. So like AI stuff, what we're starting to learn is like everyone who releases an AI is training, because AI doesn't just come out of nowhere. You have to give it information or data that it can recognize elsewhere. And one of the biggest hindrances to AI in emergency management is that every disaster is local and unique and specific to that location. And we can't train it with a generalized data set. And so a lot of the AI guys...
I want to interrupt you for a second.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so this
has been going on for forever.
No. It's okay. The AI portion of it really intrigues me a lot.
Yeah.
Right. And so I wrote a piece. I don't know if you saw it or not. And I was talking about how emergency management can embrace AI, right? But not necessarily like the ChatGPT, which is not really AI. You know,
it kind of is. It like
what's a language model, right?
Yeah.
But what I was thinking is like when we could put like a chat bot out. So one of the things I think is changing. We're going
away from the ETC. Now we're on AI.
Right, yeah. We're going into technology. Going away from the original conversation here, but just because it's the way my brain works sometimes. So what I was thinking about here is mass notification has to be two ways now. Mm-hmm. It's expected by the consumer, by the resident who's receiving the message. They don't want to just go, oh, I pause, right?
Yeah.
Here's this message of calamity coming my way.
Yeah. And the one, I actually wrote a paper on this. The existence of these, when you get a message, you go, no, I'm going to find this out. Because you have the whole world of information at your fingertips. And so while you're looking stuff up, that thing has already descended on you. I think the first example I saw of this was the Joplin tornado. Folks get an alert, and they actually try to look up where the tornado actually is as the tornado is barreling through their home.
So, okay, that's important, right?
Yeah.
And so with iPods and these messaging systems that are out here, you know, and I worked for a company for a while that was a two-way communication that we, but they want to be able to go, okay, like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Right. And if you could have somebody create, or maybe it's already there, right? If it's already there, let me know, a chat bot to where the chat bot can go, hey, because I mean, like, you do it with your cable company already.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I have a problem with my cable. Oh, what's your problem? My problem is this. Oh, this is what we're doing to fix it.
Yeah.
Do this, right? And so it walks you through
all of those things.
Those things, and it's like you're chatting with a real person, right? And so having that ability with a chat bot in emergency management, I think would be, if anybody wants to make some money.
So like the biggest hindrances to this is like those agents are already out there, right? I could talk to Siri, or I could talk to like Google's version of Siri, right? Those are there. But the issue is that this would require a public-private partnership
Absolutely.
that goes well beyond where public-private partnerships have gone in emergency management to date. And so what I'm interested in seeing is, and this is somebody, I was actually just talking about this a little while ago, the place where I think AI can fit is there's two modes in emergency management. The first is what you just said, basically extending the capabilities of existing chatbots to incorporate how to respond to disaster. And the issue that remains there is still one of data. So if I am in a tornado, I need to respond directly, but it's going to require like, what's my house made out of? Do I have a storm shelter? Do I have all of this? I would need to have pre-fed that into my thing, because otherwise it would need to know where I am at and what's around me. The other is that, like, and this is going kind of a bit beyond what we were talking about, but like, as an emergency manager who's practicing, where AI I think is the most effective is in finding you money. So you need to apply to grants, but you're not sure which grant program to go into. We need to train AI so that it can go through the infinite amount of funds that happen, and it can tell you what ones currently are accepting applications, what ones have money, and what you would need. And I think that is where you're going to start seeing some more development, because that's a low-hanging fruit, and it's just waiting for somebody to make it. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, Nick, it's always a pleasure talking to you. You know,
it's a pleasure talking to you.
I'm glad you're here. And you know what's here, though? Coffee. You got to get coffee.
Coffee?
Yeah.
I agree.
It's right there.
Oh.
So, all right, guys, we're going to go get some coffee. So, everybody, as I like to say, stay safe and stay hydrated. In this case, stay caffeinated.
Yeah. Bye.